I do have skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Some of the names have been changed in this video to protect the identity of weak-minded individuals that are scared of taking responsibility for their own actions.
So anyway, I haven't heard anything back from the New Zealand Medical Council in regards to that complaint yet, but you know, I expect the wheels turn slowly. But out of the blue, 2.5 months after the fact today, we being me and the wife, both received by registered post a trespass notice from Westgate Medical Centre. Now, they in this letter, and I'll show you it up, it states that we had performed an illegal act and that stuff was prohibited. And I mean, if you even look at the trespass notice, which we also show you here, for anything to have some sort of legality to it, you've really got to stipulate the section of the act, or the act and section that you're referring to. I.e., for a trespass order, you go to the Trespass Act and you state the year 1998, I think it is, and then the section, I think it's section 3 and section 4, for them to be able to trespass you. However, to write a letter and say you did something that's prohibited, you did it covertly, whereas I was simply exercising my rights to do whatever the fuck I like in a public place. Now she's arguing it's not a public place, so I'm going to throw the definition of what a public place is, Summary Offences Act 1981, section 2. Which states a public place is pretty much any place open to the public, be it by fee or free. So it doesn't matter if we had to pay to get into it or not, it's still a public place, and therefore I have a right to record. The only place I can't record is a fucking toilet or a changing room, and what sort of pervert would want to fucking do that anyway? So as I was going to finish off by saying, Kirstin, you can hang up, but I can continue finishing my say as long as I like, because at the end of the day I get to finish what I'm going to say regardless. If you hang up the phone, I'm still going to post it up on YouTube, and I'm still going to send Westgate Medical Centre a link to it, just so everyone's on the same page, and hopefully that time it won't take you 2.5 months to have something brought to your attention, especially when your mate Joe was informed ages ago about it. Perhaps it was brought to your attention a long time ago, and then you seek legal advice without actually it being correct legal advice, and then decided to do that. And you're right, anyone can trespass anybody from any private property. And you might say, yes, Westgate Medical Centre is owned by a private entity, therefore it's a private body, and you're the manager for that, so you have the right to, you know, to trespass, which I'm not negating. But for you to think that a medical centre is a private place as opposed to not a public place, i.e. open to the public, you are, Missy, you are 100% incorrect. It is a public place. I've already proven that with the definition that I've put in this video. I most certainly will be giving you an update. I will be getting legal advice within the week, and yeah, we'll see how we go. But what they don't get is the more tyrannical and ridiculous they're behaving by doing this. I mean, I'm doing this from a standpoint so that Dr. Incompetent doesn't cause any undue harm or distress or alarm to anyone else. You know, I'm doing it to help people. The only reason I'm getting any of this sort of legal bullshit back is retaliatory and malicious. You know, it's trying to be vexatious. They're trying to distract the fact from what we're actually focused on, which is the fact that the doctor we saw was highly incompetent and did not do what I would think to be even a physical exam to check or anything. So yeah, we're going from a point of helping people, and these guys are just trying to restrict us. Now, because of a trespass notice, we have to drive a further 10 kilometres with an injured child to get medical treatment. So they are actually refusing us medical treatment. I would think there's a law out there stating that it's against the law for me to not seek the most immediate and direct place to seek medical treatment in the scan of an emergency. You know, if you don't have time to wait for an ambulance, or the doctor's surgery's not open, or something in your local neighbourhood, the nearest A&E is where you would take. If you took them to the other side of the bloody town, or a further 10 minutes away, and someone's bleeding to death, well, that's simply a matter of life and death. And that's, quite frankly, I have actually put my hand through a window and cut my wrist and almost bled to death when I was 15 at school. And because they acted really quickly, I'm still here today. So that only just reinforces the point. How on earth can they do that? So, yeah, this ain't over. End of my little rant. Catch up with you later. Bye. Hi, darling. As I'm sitting here with the half an hour to kill until Isabel gets here, I had a look.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was expecting the traffic to be worse coming over here, but it wasn't. I had just a few moments to peruse through the Trespass Act 1980.
Oh yeah?
On that trespass notice that we each got, what section is it under? Just have a look at it. It'll say under Trespass Act 1980 sections what? My guess. It'll be on top of my computer there.
Trespass Act 1980, sections 4 in brackets 1 or 4 in brackets 2 and section 4 in brackets 4.
Okay. So 1, 2 and 4. 4 is subject to subsection 5. 4 is subject to subsection 5. Every person commits an offence against this act who, being a person who has been warned under section to stay off of any place, willful trespasses on that place within 2 years. So that's the 2-year bit. 1 and 2 is after we've been given warning to stay off, a reasonable time thereafter. And 2 is any place in reasonable course to suspect that I'm likely to trespass on that place. Okay, so 1 is if we've trespassed, 2 is if we're likely to trespass, and 4 is after the fact, and you've got 2 years.
Okay.
So I looked at section 4, subsection 5, which is under 1, 2, 3 and 4, and it says it shall be a defence. Okay, so this is our defence against it. To charge under subsection 4, so it's a defence, so it's a reasonable reason under subsection 4. If the defendant proves that A, the person by whom or on whose behalf warnings concerned is no longer an occupier. In other words, if Kirstin leaves that place, she's no longer the occupier, so we can re-enter. So if she gets sacked in the next 2 years. And B, which is the bit I like, it was necessary for the defendant to commit the trespass for his own protection or for the protection of some other person or because of some emergency involving his property or the property of some other person. So, if it's an emergency, we're allowed to go there. Irrespective of them trespassing us, if we're there on an emergency, which we can prove via an injury, we're allowed to be there. We're allowed to go against the Trespass Act and be there in case because of an emergency. They're an emergency department.
Yeah.
So there you go. So basically that trespass notice has no bearing whatsoever because it is an emergency. An accident and an emergency. Alright, So, yeah, just I would point that out to Rose, because if she's stressing about it in an emergency and safety issue, their own Trespass Act law states that we're allowed to do it in case of
We're
an
going to have a copy of that in our handbag.
I have a copy of
whatever.
well, I always have a copy in the car.
Yeah, otherwise, you know, we're going to walk in and you're going to be like, fuck off.
Trespass Act 1980, Section 4, subsection 5B is what it is. That's going to be my response in writing back to her.
Yeah,
And tell her to take that back to her lawyers.
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, at the end of the day, Rose doesn't have to stress. If we have an emergency, we can still go there. And we're perfectly lawfully allowed to.
So here is the response that I sent to Kirstin. I emailed it to her and also to the complaints department of the Westgate Medical Centre, to another gentleman. And it goes as follows. Attention, Kirstin Coleman. We refer to your correspondence and notices addressed to my wife and myself, well, a version of myself, it's not my name, of said address at a suburb I'm not familiar with, which we received on the 24th of August. Good on New Zealand Post for correcting their mistakes. We would point out firstly that not only have you incorrectly spelt Mr. King's family name incorrectly, that both letters were addressed to a suburb that does not exist. We live at Waimaku, not Waimaku. How was our address obtained? Were our private details accessed illegally without consent or justification? Kirstin, you state you have been a party to covertly filming on these premises on 7 June 2017. What evidence do you have to support this allegation? Define covertly. Kirstin, you claim we subsequently placed this footage on YouTube. What first-hand evidence do you have to support this claim? You then, Kirstin, state, as filming, and in brackets, we presume you are referring to digital video recording, close brackets, on these premises is expressly forbidden and is an illegal act. What legislative rule of society are you referring to that this is forbidden under? What act? What section? As we are of the understanding that Westgate Medical Centre is a public place, as defined within the Summary Offences Act 1981, Section 2, see here, and I attach a link to the legislation.gov.nz website to that particular act. Westgate Medical Centre was open to the public on 7 June 2017, was it not? We believe your decision to issue both persons with a trespass notice to be a retaliatory and malicious in nature, and this has caused our family unnecessary alarm, distress, without any justification. We furthermore are aware of our rights expressed within the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990, Section 14, which allows the freedom to seek, receive and impart opinions and information of any kind in any form. See here. And again, I attach another link to that legislative rule. So, see, this is what you do. When you make a claim, you back it. Okay? You don't just say, oh, that's illegal, because you think it is. You actually do your job properly. If you're going to state someone's doing something illegal, and you can only be trespassed from a public place if you've committed an offence. I didn't. You think I did. You think you have some weird expectation of privacy while you're working in a public sector. Dead wrong. All around your medical centre, I was being filmed. I had no expectation of privacy. I have none whatsoever anywhere in public. I'm being filmed constantly, everywhere, all day. And if you haven't come to that realisation, Kirstin, I really have sympathy for you. I'll continue. Alright, so I've sent her the link to the Bill of Rights Act 1990, which we have, I'll just start that again, opinions of any kind in any form, see here, which we have exercised and now are unlawfully persecuted for doing so by your decision. We can appreciate you have lodged these notices with Henderson Police. However, as in the past, we have had this particular police station, how you going, Brian Leslie, this particular police station re-educated in other matters. We will be happy to do so again if required in this matter as well. We can appreciate under section 4.1, 4.2 and 4.4 of the Trespass Act 1990, you state these persons may not return to Westgate Medical Centre for a period of 2 years. We would point out that due to the nature of this private business to provide accident and emergency assistance to the public, that under section 4 subsection 5b, see here, and I attach another link for her, and given the only reason we would attend your establishment in any first instance would be due to an emergency, we will return within the next 2 years due to this centre being the closest to our home. Any further travel to another A&E, as you had discussed via telephone, may cause unnecessary pain and suffering, therefore your suggestion to do so is not acceptable. Notice, should an emergency medical situation occur, we will be attending your medical centre at any time in the future. As this provision is expressed within the Trespass Act 1990 section 4 subsection 5b, we would suggest you inform your legal advisor. As your silence to our question re our phone conversation when asked, are you stating you would refuse us medical treatment, constitutes passive acquiescence. Should this happen in the future, you will be held personally liable for any undue alarm, harm or distress this may cause. Lastly, to hang up on me was nothing short of childish, as your lack of ability to supply any form of justification or grounds to issue such notices shows your claim without merit. Notice, we may exercise our right to protest your decision publicly at any time of our choosing in the future. Notice, all correspondence shall be published on multiple forums for maximum accountability and transparency in accordance within rights expressed within the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990 section 14 as previously referenced within. Notice, failure to respond within 10 days of this correspondence shall constitute a tacit agreement that Kirstin Coleman of Westgate Medical Centre has issued trespass warnings to the above-named persons without any legal justification, grounds or merit, and shall be liable for any unnecessary harm, loss or distress that may be suffered as a result of her actions. With regards, me and my wife, and we've both signed it. So that's been emailed to her. Granted, that was done very early Friday morning. I got no response from her today. I'm guessing she's possibly seeking legal advice because, man, she shouldn't go making claims she can't fucking back. And I really need to see how what I did was illegal for her to do that, because it's because of that, it's because of her unreasonable expectation of privacy in a public place, such as an accident and emergency medical centre, that she's done this. So she's done this after either being misinformed or non-informed or ignorant of the law. And I'm sorry, but under the Crimes Act 1961 section 25, ignorance of the law is not an excuse, my darling. So we'll see how we go. I hope you guys enjoy the next two parts of the series that's coming up. Still looking forward to November 7th to go and see my old mate Judge Black. Hopefully the Judicial Conduct Commissioner is doing something about the complaint against him. So as far as a medical centre and a trespass notice, I mean, that's really just, that's just like the seasoning on top of the chips. So yeah, not a biggie. Anyway, see you later.
So, better luck next time, Westgate Medical Centre.
I will look for you. I will find you.